Hi, welcome to another Tuesday evening practice session. We're going to look at four corners today. So let's start with a warm-up that is some part of a group of shapes that Chengmen Cheng devised to help us do some of the movements if we can't do the whole form. He called it the 8 ways or the 8 methods. And they're not really a set, but there's a bunch of them and they're kind of about the form without having to be the form. One of them is called setting the sail. Setting the sail is an awful lot like doing four corners or fair maiden weaves of the shuttle. So let's do it. And you're going to start with your feet in a V. And you've got Lee giving you the other direction so that you can follow along. Sit into your right leg, turn to the right, make a ball of air with your right hand on top. Step to the corner for a 70-30. And as you shift, you do the shape of four corners. And then just come back to the V, and you'll do it on the other side. Turn to the left, left hand on top, step out to the right corner, and next 70-30. So let's just do this a bit so that it starts to feel comfortable. And I assume you can see the relevance to four corners here. So this has a lot of nice things going on. One is that you have to know where you're stepping to the corner. So as you do this, make sure that you're stepping to your corner as if you were in your own personal phone booth, not necessarily the corner of the room. It's nice to have these little patterns that you can just keep doing over and over, because then you can pay attention to different aspects of it as you go through it. So once you've got your orientation and your feet are going to the corner, or your foot you're stepping out with is going to the corner, the next thing you can look at is what happens to the arms. So just like we do in four corners, your hands start in a ball of air. And the hand that's on top is going to be the hand that pushes out at the end. The hand on the bottom of the ball is the one that comes up and deflects. And so there's a few things you can look at as you keep working through this pattern. One is how that ball turns from being vertical to becoming horizontal and then ending up in the final position of four corners. So notice how the ball turns, it gets smaller, and then it changes into four corners. So that both hands are changing all the way through. Another thing to notice is when you start, your hands are in front of your center, and all the way through, your hands are in front of your center. What puts your hands to the corner is that your torso is turning toward the corner. But when you finish, your hands are still with your center. And all the way through, you've turned to the corner, your hands are with your center. You can sort of follow it with my yin-yang there on my shirt, and they just stay with the center. So in Four Corners, we might have a tendency to try to reach for the corner with our hands, but this is a great way to get used to the feeling of the hands riding with the body, keeping that rectangle of shoulders and hips, and just keeping the hands with the center, and letting the turning of the waist be what delivers the hands into the corner. You can also look at the cross balance. We just spent a bunch of time looking at cross balance, and that changes as the hands change. So you can feel how your hands change as the weight changes. And as the weight goes into the front leg, the hands change, and the pushing hand becomes the cross balance hand of the fullness. You also have the cross balance of emptiness, and you can feel how the high hand becomes light. So as you step out, the bottom hand helps balance the stepping, and then it becomes light as the weight shifts. We'll do this another round on each side. And take a break. So setting the sail, it's a nice little pattern to warm up with and get a little exploration of Four Corners before we dive into it. So now let's do some form. We'll start with the first third, and when we get to single whip, we're gonna fast forward to Four Corners. We'll do Four Corners, and then we'll finish up the end of the form as if we had done the whole thing. We'll just kind of take that middle segment out and jump right to Four Corners from single whip. And go. Remember, we're going to Four Corners now. So one of the things I want to look at in Four Corners is the position of the hands and how you get them up there, because it's very easy to lift your hands to get them up, and we want to, even when your hand is up high over your head, and the shoulder is good, the arm is going to come up. I don't always have to point my elbow down to have a weighted elbow, but I want to make sure that the whole shoulder and, scapula and everything don't just rise when I rise my arm. I can let the arm come up without having all of this have to get engaged and involved in it. As Jane would always tell us, to not use shoulder strength, and this is what she was talking about. So let's do that little setting the sail again for a minute and pay some attention to how the arm comes up so that we can play around with the feeling of lifting the arms and not lifting the arms. We'll just do it for a couple rounds. So as your arms are coming up, go ahead and let yourself pick your arms up from the shoulders and feel what that does. I'll do it on the other side too. So as the arms are coming up, bring everything up so that the shoulders get involved. Now, try to do it so that your scapula don't rise just because your arm comes up, so that you're not using shoulder strength to get the arms up. So there's almost a sense of, if I may use Lee, turn your back to them, please, and do this again. So I want to show you the scapula here, and go on and finish the posture. See how they're not coming up? It's almost, here it's coming up. And now let them back down. It's almost as if there's a weight hanging on them so that, thank you, so that there's, as it comes up, rather than lifting as it comes up, there's a yin-yang going on, so that as the arm starts coming up, there's a sense of something dropping in the scapula to get that arm up to its final position. So just stand here a moment and put your, one of your hands up. I won't even worry about the bottom one this moment. And go ahead and notice that if you drop your elbow all the way, that's not the move. That closes everything off, and it's not what we're looking for. And then there's the other extreme where you lift it, and that's not what we're looking for. So see if you can, and you might even use your other hand to help you. Now, this is going to rise, the arm rises, but the whole structure does not rise. So see if you can feel that there's a sense of, to get this up the rest of the way, something is dropping to get that there. It's almost like there's a little bag of ballast hanging off your scapula, and that drop is what helps the hand come up light. Because as we were looking at it, this is the unweighted hand as it comes up there. And so when you bring it up like this, it tends to throw off the cross balance as well as get your shape wrong. So you want that feeling that as the arm comes up, and this is the same exact thing that happens when we go into white crane. Same thing. There's like a triangle. The elbow is going to come up, but the shoulder does not. So let's just do this another couple of times, the setting the sail, so that we get that feeling, and then we'll do it in Four Corners. So as that arm is coming up, let the scapula drop and help release that arm so that it feels empty. It's coming up, and it becomes light as it comes to its final position. And the lightness is balanced by a sense of the scapula dropping down. So rest your legs, and let's just do 4 corners a couple times. Right now, I won't confuse us with all the doing it over and over and over. We'll just do the move from single whip through all 4 of the corners. So get into a good 70-30 single whip. Now the same thing's going to happen as you do single whip. Get your arms out by having them balance around the elbow, and the hands are not heavy. Even the right arm that's balancing your left arm, it's not that the hand is heavy and has to be held up. Let it balance on the vastness of your chi. And begin. So let that left hand come up so that it's light and does not disturb your whole shoulder girdle. Now it's the right arm. As the weight shifts and it becomes the light arm, really let it feel light. Shoulder girdle stays pretty much unperturbed. And rest your legs. Let's do that whole piece again. So, getting into your 70-30, no shoulder strength, no shoulder strength. Let your arms be loose and get your hands to position one at a time by releasing, letting it go, letting the arm stay out there, not because you hold on, but because it rebounds. Let the arm swing softly, and then one of these times catch it. And begin. Notice how the upper arm rises. Keeping it balanced throughout the whole extent of the arm. Not lifting, but letting it change its balance. And rest your legs. So this rebalancing of the arm happens around the elbow. Like we've said, the elbow doesn't have to hang down, but it needs to be the balance point. Yeah, so when you're in, say, the 70-30, the single whip, you can lift the hand to get that up there. So get that feeling. Lift your hand to put it in the position, and right away it's going to pull on the shoulder. And you won't be able to feel the elbow dangling there, hanging. So find a different way to do it. Let it play out through the arm. The shoulder is not being pulled up, and the hand is not being raised. It's a rebalancing. And when you do that, the elbow is heavy, and the hand is light, and the shoulder is unperturbed. So let that happen. Give yourself a few chances to just try to get this arm up, and then feel it rebalance. Now the elbow can be as bent as it needs to be to get your hand at the height of the shoulder here. So it's not that you're bringing your hand somewhere, it's that you want this balance. Shoulder, wrist, elbow hangs in between. This should still feel like the hand is light. And then you want to maintain that feeling all the way, whatever it is you're doing, it needs to have that same quality. So when I start turning, I want to make sure that the turn happens inside here and doesn't take away this feeling of balance in the extended arm. So just do this much. Just sit into your back leg and turn toward that arm. And feel how that moving toward it can keep it light and balanced. And then if you do any kind of welding to the torso with your arm, when you sit into the back leg and turn, it's going to want to start traveling with you, or you're going to get it distorted to keep it there. So it has to be free from the socket. It has to be loose and open. And you can put your other hand across your chest here and just feel that as you turn, there's give. And that quality is going to see you through, rest your legs, it's going to see you through all the gyrations and changes in the form, that ability to have it be balanced. So the same thing's happening here. Let it be balanced around the elbow so that the hand stays light. So I want to do another round of four corners and really try to get that sense that the arms are free from the shoulder socket and not disturbing your shoulder as you get them into position, and that the hands stay light. And I'll turn it around to Lee. So from the single whip, you know what you're aiming for. So get your arms free, loose, and balanced. The elbow is weighted. It's what helps your arm balance. The hand is light. Begin. And just try to keep that sense. Notice any desire to tighten at the shoulder socket and keep it free. And we'll hold it at this last corner for a moment. So as you stand here, go ahead and adjust your feet if they're not where you want them. And really feel that the whole body has light hands that are resting on the depth of your root. And that you're not holding your arms up. If it starts to be painful or feel like you're holding on to something, see if you can let it go. Let your arms hang. And notice any desire to grab through here. See if you can let that go. It will put more weight down in your feet. And you can check that out. If you lift your arms even a little bit, it pulls you out of your root. Let the arms go, and it will put you down into the ground better. Okay, and rest your legs. So that's just one tiny little aspect of this really lovely move that we call Four Corners. And Lee will give you some more aspects.
Great, let's do some more. This thing that Beth is talking about having the arm able to come up without it pulling the shoulder socket too, is important. And a lot of times we don't actually understand how our shoulders work. Sure, they're the analog of the hips, but the hips are really solidly part of the structure of your skeleton, right? They just, the hip sockets are there in your pelvis, and they don't move much. I mean, yeah, during birth, women's pelvis is open and the hip sockets move a little bit, and there are some joints in the hip socket, the sacroiliac here in the back, where the sacrum goes into the hip socket, and the pubic symphysis here in the front, where the two pieces come and meet, and those have very, very small amounts of play in adult skeletons. But the shoulder sockets are super mobile. That's how come people can dislocate their shoulders. And so I think it helps to actually understand this. The way the shoulders work is that the collarbone, so find your collarbone and actually feel it across there as it goes across. That's the piece that actually attaches the shoulder socket. So the collarbone comes here and it has a little opening, and the scapula, the shoulder blade on the back, comes over, and the two of those kind of fit together, and that's the socket that the upper bone of the arm fits into. And then the shoulder is attached to the skeleton here in the front. It comes into the front, and then the collarbone connects to the sternum that all the ribs hang off of, and that's how it's actually attached to your skeleton. So it's not attached in the back at all. And so that gives the shoulders tremendous freedom of movement. And so I want to do the shoulder rolls briefly for a second, just so you really get that feeling. And so we're going to do this in a 70-30. And what we're going to do is, as you shift forward and back in the 70-30, you're going to roll the socket around as much as you can. Now, this is not doing the form. And so in the form, right, you want the shoulders sinking, so that the shoulders are always going down towards the ground, so that they're not carried along with the motion. What we're going to do in this is you want them to move a lot. So this isn't about moving the hand. It's not about making your hand go. It's about moving the socket. So get in a 70-30, put your opposite hand on the shoulder and collarbone so you can feel it, and really move that socket as much as you can in all the directions. And so it's not just up and down. In the front here, it can actually come towards your center. Then it goes towards your ear. In the back, it goes towards your spine in the back, and then it drops down. And so put your other hand on the collarbone and shoulder socket so that you can really feel how much motion there is in there. And again, be careful that it's actually the shoulder that you're moving, not your hand and arm. So really get this going. A lot of times we kind of glue our collarbones onto the top ribs, and so we don't have much motion in them. So do this and really free it up. Now you may hear a lot of crackling and popping, the popping packing material sound. That's totally natural, especially when you're getting something moving that you don't always have moving. And now go the other way. So send it to the back and then up, and just notice how much you can get it moving. Really feel that. With the other hand, you can feel all that motion. Okay, and change sides now. You remember, you're moving the shoulder socket that goes with the front leg. So take your other hand and put it on the collarbone shoulder so that you can really feel how much is going on in there. Packing material sound is totally normal. Don't feel bad if you're not getting a lot of popping. I'm not getting much popping today. Sometimes I get a lot more. So really feel that thing mobile. In the front, it comes towards your center line. At the top, it goes towards your ear. In the back, it goes towards your spine. At the bottom, it goes towards your hips. So you really move it. And then change, and now go the other direction. Same socket, rotating around in the other direction. Really getting this shoulder mobile and feeling it. That's the thing I really want you to do. I want you to see how much motion there is in the shoulder socket relative to the body. Okay, and now we're going to do it 50-50. And in 50-50, a lot of times it's actually easier to notice. So just stand here 50-50. And notice that you can bring both of your shoulders in towards the front. And you can send both of your shoulders back towards the back. And you can pull both of your shoulders up towards your ears, and you can let both of your shoulders fall down towards the floor. Right? So the motion is not just in a circle here. It's actually like a figure 8 loop. It comes towards the front. It goes towards the ear. As it's going back, it's going towards my spine in the back here, and then it's dropping. And so we'll do both shoulders. I think sometimes it's easier to feel both shoulders. And you sit up and down just to kind of give it a little oomph. But so bring them both towards the front, the ears, the back, and down. Both towards the front, the ears, the spine, and down. So you're really getting a big roll happening in the shoulders. And now reverse the direction. Start by taking them towards your spine, your ears, center line in the front, and down. Really roll those around. Okay, great. So the reason I wanted to do that is so that you actually have them moving. Because a lot of times when we're doing this, we're not aware of the moving. Everything's kind of glued together, and so you end up either with frozen shoulders that don't change, or the shoulder comes up towards your ear as you're doing this, and you don't even realize it. So I want you to do this. Take the final posture of 4 corners, either side. And I want you to first lift the shoulder up as the front hand is there, and then let it drop and really feel that. So we'll do this in setting the sail. So stepping out. As you shift forward, bring the shoulder up with the arm, get into the final posture, and now from here, release your shoulder and let it fall. And now do it on the other side. As you're coming forward, let the shoulder come up towards your ear. When you get there, then stop. Release the shoulder and let it fall back down. So do it again on each side, lifting the shoulder. Lift, 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 and then drop. And once more, lifting the shoulder as you come through it. Get to the top there, recognize that feeling, let the shoulder fall. So now this time when we do it, as soon as you start to feel a lift in the shoulder, let it fall at that moment so that it doesn't ever get pulled up. But as you do this, you'll start to notice you're lifting in the shoulder a little bit, drop. Lifting in the shoulder a little bit, drop. Lifting in the shoulder a little bit, drop. So a couple times you'll set the sail. So coming forward, letting your shoulder stay hanging, and back. And coming forward, as soon as you start to lift the shoulder, Drop it so that the shoulder sinks all the way through this. Okay, now we're going to do it once more on each side. Come forward, get into the final posture, and take the pushing hand and hold on to the fingers of the high hand, and let that arm just hang, and really let it go here. I'm not using this arm to hold it up at all. It's hanging out of the other arm, so I can feel that in the shoulder. And now on the other side, come up. When you get to the final posture, take the pushing hand, hold the other hand, and let the whole arm just hang. If you let go, the arm would just fall. Okay, and now once more on each side. Just doing your best job. Great. So the shoulders, when we use them and move them, but a lot of times we don't realize that we're getting them involved in something. So I'm trying to get you to actually feel that, so you can notice when you start to lift your shoulder and let it hang down. In Yang Cheng Fu's 10 Essential Points, one of the points is that the shoulders should sink down towards the ground, and the elbows should hang. So we often say elbows weighted. That's getting that idea of hanging. But it doesn't mean that the elbows have to be lower than the shoulder. So in a posture like this, the elbow is going to be higher than my shoulder. But that shouldn't cause the shoulder to be lifted. Then the shoulder isn't sinking. And the elbow is hanging. It's hanging down from the hand. So there isn't any lift in the elbow either. The elbow hangs away from the hand here. The shoulder is sinking. So you want to really get that. I could try to push the elbow down, thinking that the elbow should sink, but that's wrong because I'm trying to force the elbow. The elbow hangs. Hanging means hanging away from something. Usually it hangs away from the shoulder and like push. The elbow is hanging away from the shoulder. The shoulder is always sinking. The shoulders are always going down towards the ground, so they never get raised. The elbow hangs away from the shoulder or hangs away from the hand in White Crane. Again, in White Crane, the elbow is higher than the shoulder. I don't want to have to push the elbow down. That's trying to make the elbow sink. The elbow hangs. So this thing of holding your hand with one hand and really letting the whole arm relax can help you get that feeling. So let's do four corners once more. Really watching the shoulders, watching any place where you lift the shoulders should be sinking, and watching any place where the elbow isn't hanging. So those two will go together. Single whip. And go ahead, sit back and turn. Opening the hook, turning. Okay, now you've got your ball of air, and as you come forward, keep the left shoulder sinking. And stop here for a second. Feel that the left elbow is hanging from the left fingers. The right elbow too, but it's not as problematic. Okay, continue. Check your shoulders out. Are they raising as you do this? Keep them sinking. As you step, did the anxiety of the step make you raise your shoulders? If so, let them sink. And come forward. Right shoulder is sinking. Right elbow is hanging from the right fingers. Continue. As you step, does that impact your shoulders at all? Coming forward and turning. Left shoulder is sinking. Go ahead and lift it up by your ear and then let it sink. Feel that and feel the left elbow hanging. Right elbow hangs too, but the left one's the more problematic one here. Sit back. Turn. Okay, and now as you step, make sure that the anxiety of stepping doesn't make you lift the shoulders, or if it does, that you let them back down. Right shoulder is sinking, right elbow is hanging. Great. Take a break. Okay, then the other thing, this is actually great doing this because all I do is repeat what Beth said. So we just get to look at it more. The other thing is this keeping the hands with your center line. So in four corners, especially with the big steps, a lot of times what will happen is we get ahead of ourselves. I'm trying to take a big step someplace, and I'm coming back here, and I'm going to step towards that corner, and so everything gets ahead of myself here. As I'm stepping to that corner, I need to keep the nose with the belly button, the hands in front of it, even as I step. So here, there's my belly button, there's my nose, here's my hands. Not over at the side, not already there in the corner. So I want to stop a lot going through four corners. And I don't care if you put your foot down while you're doing this. I would rather have you step, check that you're still aligned. Step, check that you're still aligned. Put the foot where it's going, check that you're still aligned. Shift, check that you're still aligned, and turn. Then try to make a big step that distorts you so that you don't notice that. So I'd rather have you do the steps bit by bit so that you can see that hands are with the center all the way. Now this is true everywhere. It's true right at the very beginning. As I sit back here and turn, coming into this place, all along there I'm not reaching with my hand. The left hand is with me, with me, with me, with me. Hands are with me right here at my center. Hands are with me right here at my center. Ball of air. Ball of air is here with my center. So it's true every place through it. We're going to stop a bunch of times along the way. This is not a tortured posture holding. This is a chance for you to notice if your hands have gotten away from your center line or not. Great, thank you. Yeah, when I did the shoulder rolls, it messed it all up. Yeah. Okay, so single whip. Sit back. Notice where your left hand is. And now turn part way. Notice where your left hand is. And turn more. Notice where your left hand is. And finish turning. Sit back. Notice where your right hand is. Right at your center. And now turn to step. Right hand stays with your center. And shift. Ball of air. The ball of air should be right along your center line. Step to the corner. Shift part way, the ball rotates. It's still right here at my center line. Shift more of the way, the ball is moving. It's still right here at my center line. Finish. The hands are right in front of your center line. You're looking between the two of them. Sit back. Right palm down, left forearm vertical. The hands are in front of your center line. You haven't already started turning. You haven't pulled the hands across you. And now turn part way. Bottom hand is rotating. The hands are still in front of me. Turn the rest of the way. Hands should still be in front of you. Shift. Let the hands relax into a ball of air. Now this is the part where we're going to go a couple ways. If you step part way with your right foot and then stop, that's fine. So step and check. Hands still in front of center line. And turn a little further and check. Hands still in front of center line. And now finish stepping. Hands still in front of center line. Start to shift. Stop. The ball of air is in front of you. Continue shifting. The ball of air is in front of you. Turn part way. The ball of air is in front of you. Turn the rest of the way. Obviously, the hands are in front of you. Sit back. Left palm by right elbow, but you're relating to your hands. They're here at your center line. Step. Hands change. Here in front of your center line. Shift. Ball of air. Where's the ball of air? Right here in front of you. Step to the corner. Where's the ball of air? Still in front of you. Shift part way, hands rotate. Ball of air in front of you. Shift more of the way. Hands move more. Ball of air still in front of you. Finish. Where are the hands? In front of you. Sit back. Right palm down by left forearm, left elbow, left forearm vertical. They're in front of you. They're not off to one side or the other. Turn. 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 Shift. Ball of air. Okay, and now we're going to turn part way. Stop. Hand still in front of you. Turn more of the way. Stop. Hand still in front of you. Shifting. Hand still in front of you. Shifting and turning. Hand still in front of you. And finish. Hands in front of you all the way there. Great. Take a break. So it's really easy to get ahead of yourself with this and have the hands already going to a corner where you aren't, to end up in a situation like this where I'm already reaching across there. And I want to bring them back so they're right in front of you. And what that means is it's the waist turning that finishes it rather than the hands ending up there already. So that you really stay with them all the way through it. Yeah. Okay, let's do it again. Without stopping, but we'll go slowly enough that you have a chance. See if you're actually keeping your hands with your center line or not. Go ahead, sitting back and turning. Shift. Right hand should stay in front of you as you step. Ball of air is in front of you. And now use the waist turn to finish this. Continue. Hands are with your center line all the way through this. Even as you're turning and stepping, hands are with you. Hands are with you. Turning, hands are with you. So by doing it this way, you can let the arms relax. When you're reaching and forcing them, there's a lot more tension, and it won't actually be driven by the waist. If I can get this to work so that when I want to face this way, so that when I finish the move, all I'm doing is turning my waist and my hand comes forward. That lets this arm be a lot more relaxed than if I feel like I have to be doing with the hands. And then that takes away the waist motion. So I really want this to be, I'm all just here, and now I'm just going to turn my waist. And as I turn my waist, my push hand gets pushed forward. And that's all happening from the waist, nothing in the arm. So the arm can be a lot more relaxed while you're doing that, which is what we're trying to do. And then the actual waist turning can be what powers the end of the move. Okay, so I got one more thing to do before we call it an evening. And that is, at the final bit, it's really easy to get the hands backwards with which one is doing how this is going. And so in the final bit, when I've come up and I'm right here, so watch what's happening here. I've got a ball of air, and the ball of air is rotating. And what the thing that tends to happen is people forget to change the backhand, and they're just bringing the front hand up. And so you can see when I do that, I don't actually have a ball of air. I had a ball of air here, but I don't have one here. So as I'm shifting forward, the ball of air is rotating. It's also getting smaller. Here, there's a lot of space between the two hands. As I'm coming forward, the ball gets small. Now, there's not very much space between the two hands. Then, at this point, the back hand pushes through because the waist turns. As that happens, it's as if it displaces the front hand. The back hand pushes, and the front hand gets displaced out of the way. So this turning over hand has a passive reactive feeling, not an active doing feeling. And that's really easy to get backwards. It's really easy to end up here and think about this hand and pull it back while the other hand is a little bit dead. And instead, I want to get here. Back hand pushes through, top hand just gets out of the way. It's like it gets displaced, not it turns. So let's run through 4 corners. We'll do 3 more sets of 4 corners. And the first time, really trying to feel that as you get into the final bit, you've taken your ball of air, it's come up, it's horizontal. Both hands had to change to get there, and then the back hand pushes through and displaces it. And then we'll get it wrong. The middle set, we'll bring it up, we'll lose the ball of air, and we'll actively move the top hand. And then for our last one, we'll do everything perfectly. And then we'll have a nice evening and call it a day. So, single whip. Sit back and turn. Hands, of course, staying with your center line. Shift and turn. Step, ball of air, and step. Okay, stop here. You've got a big ball of air. And now as you shift, let both hands change. Make sure the back hand is changing too until you have a smaller ball of air. And now take your waist and push your rear hand through and let the top hand get displaced. Sit back, palm down by elbow, turn, shift, a ball of air, a big ball of air. And as you step, you still have that big ball of air. As you start to shift, make sure both hands change. The left hand has to change too. Stop when you've got the small horizontal ball of air. And now you're going to turn your waist, which is going to move your left hand, and it displaces the right hand. So the right hand is soft here. Sit back, step, shift, and step, stop. You've got a big ball of air. Come partway into it. Make sure both hands have changed. You've got a small ball of air. You're going to turn your waist. Your rear hand is going to push through, and your top hand gets displaced. One more. Sit back and turn. Shift. You've got a ball of air. Step. You've still got a ball of air. As you shift, both hands change. Now you're going to turn your waist. Your left hand pushes through. Your right hand gets displaced. Okay. Let's mess it up. Single whip. Go. Okay. Shift. Let the front hand come forward. And now, as you finish, actively pull the top hand back. That should feel different. Continue. When I do this, I really mess up my ball of air. So when you get to the end point here, pull the top hand back. Pull the left hand back. Pull the right hand back. So that's different. Let's do it once more. And let's do everything we've worked on this morning perfectly. So the shoulders sink, the elbows hang. The hand can come up without involving the shoulder. The hands stay with the center line. You're not over at your sides. You turn the waist in order to make this happen. And as you come forward, the ball of air goes from vertical and big to horizontal and small. That means the back hand has to change too. And then the last bit, the rear hand, because of the waist, is pushed through and the top hand gets displaced. Go ahead. Give it your best shot. Hands are with you. Hands are with you. Shoulders sink. Rear hand displaces the front. Hands are with you. Hands are with you. Ball of air comes horizontal and small. Waist turns, rear hand displaces the top. Hands are with you. Big ball of air, smaller ball of air, waist turns. Great. Okay. Four corners, one of the great moves in the form. We'll do some more of this on Thursday, and we'll see you all again real soon.